And he's like, y'all just live here. I run shit. And King Kong got shit on me.
He didn't have anything on him.
I know, it's weird.
Yeah.
Hello, my dudes, and welcome back to the Mikey and the Press Pass podcast. Welcome to your weekly dosage of the Sigma Male Grind Set. I'm Mike.
I'm David.
We're still giving you people doses of that stuff. It's good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Y'all didn't learn last time. You're gonna learn today.
You're gonna learn today.
And welcome to the 100th podcast.
Yeah, happy 100th, man.
100. Yeah.
Cheers again.
Cheers again.
This liquid is so old. I'm glad that the person that purchased it did not drink it sooner. Because it is very old.
So old the cork is disintegrated into the bottle.
Yeah, I get a little bit of corkiness off it. I didn't know that was like, what is that TV show where he's like he has cookies or something like that, and someone takes a bite of them and like, yeah, I get like a strong earthiness. Oh, that's probably dirt. I dropped him on the way over here.
I don't remember that one. I forgot. I think it was Friends. Like, I'll have a scotch on the rocks, hold the ice. Is that from Friends?
It sounds like it could be. Yeah. Or from Dumb and Dumber, maybe. I don't know.
Nah, it's not from Dumb and Dumber. The Dumb and Dumber is like, what's the soup? Or what's the soup du jour? Soup of the day. Sounds great.
That sounds good.
So, how's your holiday week been?
Well, mostly just been hanging out with the old lady watching movies. So I watched a bunch of movies this week, so that was cool.
Me and you both.
Yeah, it's good. I watched Cliffhanger, also known as Die Hard on a Mountain, which I think just the fact that I brought it up to you the other day and I saw it on Netflix was probably why I was inclined to watch it. Diana was like, I'm in the mood for something actiony. I want to see Arnold shoot people in the face.
Cliffhanger, doesn't the thing, like, what everyone remembers from the movie, like, happens in the first act?
It happens in the very first scene.
Yeah.
Though he's like holding it. Yeah, it's the inciting incident. Well, no, it's not the inciting incident. It's like character back.
Because I have no idea what that movie is about, other than everyone says Die Hard on a mountain.
Oh, is that what everyone says?
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
I've never heard that from anyone else before. I just like watched it and it was like a Die Hard on a mountain. So it's basically this guy who is a park ranger and played by Sylvester Stallone, and another guy who plays the guy that plays McMasters in Tombstone. Remember, there's like two cowboys that defect from the Cowboys and come and join Wyatt Earp. He's the white one.
Okay.
He's the one that has like the mustache. The blonde. Anyway, so that guy, he takes a gal that he's seeing up climbing, and they get marooned because apparently she's not very experienced at climbing.
Terrible idea. That's mistake number one.
Yes. So anyway, Sly and the other people that work for the Rangers have to come up to kind of like get her out of there. And they, for some reason, the best way to get her off the rock is to land a chopper across this big chasm and string a cable between it, and then they kind of rappel over there. Don't ask me why this is the best way to do it, but the movie tells me that it is. So then while they're going over...
Don't they have a helicopter so they can go fly anywhere?
Yeah, but I guess they can't just fly up and like hover right next to them and they hop on the chopper. I guess that's not viable for some reason, I guess. Probably, I think it's because like, I think they kind of implied that if the chopper can get close enough to get him, the blades will hit the rocks that they're on, because they're like on this very small outcropping. Anyway, so Sly has to save her and something goes awry and he grabs her and then he ends up dropping her and she dies. Right.
Surprise, surprise.
Right. So this is the character backstory, and he has a lot of guilt about this and goes away for several months. In the meantime, some sort of federal agent guy, he betrays these guys that are transporting like a shipment of $1,000 bills, which basically are notes that only go
banknotes.
Yeah, banknotes that go between banks back in the 90s when this was a thing. And so he's in cahoots with John Lithgow's character, who is like this ex-military ops guy. And apparently he has the connections and everything to kind of sell these notes off. Anyway, so something goes awry where they're doing like basically they're in mid-air and this other plane comes up and the plane like attaches itself to them and they transfer over, but something goes awry when one of the pilots they thought was dead ends up like shooting up the other plane, and then all the suitcases with the money are lost. They have a tracking device for them, but their plane goes down. When their plane goes down, they send out a false distress beacon to the Rangers to come help them so that they can like help them find the shit on the mountain, the cases on the mountain, because they're not experienced climbers or anything like that. So then they take the hostage, the guy that is like estranged from Sly Stallone, who was coming back, that's whose girlfriend died in the first act, and he blames Sly, and so there's kind of this estrangement or whatever. So they take him hostage, and then Sly and this other gal have to like save him through a series of jockeying position, trying to get to there's like 5 cases, and they're trying to get to each one of them before the terrorists do or whatever. And yeah, that's basically the crux of the movie. So, but it's very much like Die Hard, just not as good, and it's got Sly in it instead of Bruce Willis, but it has some of the same things going on in it. He's kind of like more or less an ordinary guy. So despite the fact that he's Sly Stallone, he's not like kicking ass on these guys that are like ex-military. Like they kick the shit out of him usually when they fight, and it's usually through some odd circumstance or he gets lucky in some way or outfoxes them that he manages to dispatch with them. And so that's kind of how that plays out. But it's a fairly solid action movie. You know, if you're in the mood for that, it's not really. There's probably more character stuff in it than the average action movie. Like this estrangement from him and the other ranger gal who was like his old lady, and he went away because he can't deal with the guilt of like losing this gal and this his buddy, and they were really good friends, and now he blames him for, and then but now he's trying to save his life, so it's like they kind of maybe reconcile. Like it's I don't know, it's a decent movie. It's like a solid middle of the road action movie. It's probably why it's super forgettable,
like a B plus.
Yeah, it's probably more like a C plus or a B. It's got some decent action in it and decent, but it's not like high octane action.
It's so weird because it was such in the zeitgeist of the 90s. Like that scene would show up in spoofs and in mainstream media.
Yeah, most notably in the second Ace Ventura movie, which is what I always think of. I got you, little buddy. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, it was a fine movie. I think Sly wrote it. I don't think he directed it, but I think he wrote the screenplay or whatever.
Got another one in me.
Yeah. So yeah, I watched that. I watched just before I got here. I watched this movie I've been meaning to watch for a while, called Blow Up. It's this movie by this Antonioni guy that I watched another movie by him before that Diana wanted to watch, and that movie was fairly disappointing, and this movie was even more disappointing. And so I don't know. It seemed like it would be a good kind of almost political thriller. Not political thriller, but like a thriller where like someone stumbles across something, usually something nefarious, and then they pull at the thread and they like kind of unravel the mystery of how and why it is, right? That's what I thought the movie was going to be, but basically the description of the movie, which is like one sentence, tells you everything that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. The whole movie is about a guy who takes a candid photo of a couple in a park and discovers a murder. That's it. That's all that happens.
Took this photo. I think a murder happened.
Yeah. Well, and he confirms that a murder happens because he goes back to the scene of the crime. The guy is dead. But that's it.
Yep.
That's all that happens. Nothing else. It's like, oh, okay, there was like 2 hours of that, I guess. It's like, just whatever.
It was in the description. I don't know why you guys are so upset.
Right. I thought it was a description, not the whole screenplay. So there was that. I'm trying to think. I watched something else too, a few other things. I didn't watch Squid Games though. I shouldn't do that.
Surprise, surprise.
Oh yeah, okay. You watched Raised by Wolves yet?
All of them, bro.
You did not. Well, what else did I watch? I watched some other movies too. Those are the ones that jump out at me. Anyway, they'll come to me. What have you been watching?
Well, you could say I had a marvelous long weekend. Got to watch was it Disney Plus released Black Widow for general watchage. It's no longer behind a paywall now. Watch that. That was a really good movie.
Well, I mean, but it is behind a paywall because you have to pay for Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, there's an extra paywall to it.
It's fucking fuck you, Disney.
Well, I didn't pay for it, so
No, but I just mean the whole concept of like you have a streaming service that you pay for, and then you have like another sub service in there that you have to pay double for.
whatever. I got to see it anyway, so it
Yeah.
doesn't matter to me. Anyway, so yeah, just don't let it fool you that it's been. Well, it was like simultaneously on in theaters and in streaming,
Mhm.
and usually kind of would guess that it would be kind of a lower tier movie, but it was actually I would put it on the top third of all Marvel movies. It's up there, and it has all the trappings that I really love about some of the Marvel stuff, where it's kind of like espionage mixed in with the superhero
Mhm.
streetness of it. So the first act was pretty much that. Like, imagine instead of Captain America, it's the Black Widow. Instead of the Winter Soldier, there's somebody else, and they kind of expanded on the universe by adding a couple characters to it. They have was it the Red Guardian? He's like the Russian version of Captain America, played by David Harbour from Stranger Things.
Oh, the sheriff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that actor.
Yeah, plays a great role. Florence Pugh, cutie. She plays a great character. She's very dry humored person. Kind of like doesn't exactly break the fourth wall, but kind of plays along that lines. Great addition to it. Looks like she's gonna take the mantle. I don't know about take the mantle of the Black Widow, but she's gonna be taking over that role. It seems like. Yeah, great set pieces throughout. There's like two major set pieces, which were really good. Only complaint would be in like the second act. They had this like because it's almost like they're Americans,
Mhm.
where they're Russian spies living amongst Americans, trying to
But the Black Widow was Russian.
yeah, but it's they're taking that whole like the Americans thing.
Oh, okay. I get you.
Yeah.
Like the show.
Yeah, like the show.
Okay, I thought you were because they're Americans. I'm like, but I thought the Black Widow was Russian.
No.
She is Russian.
Yeah.
But now an American.
Yeah,
operative.
it's like the Americans in the beginning half, then they kind of expand on the Red Room, the whole like Black Widow project.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like a made up family to have a cover to get into the US. And they kind of not expanded, but kind of like little trappings of a family that haven't seen each other in a while. I don't think it was quite earned, but other than that, it was a great film altogether. Very strange because this was set in right after Captain America Civil War. And when the whole like Tony Stark, Captain America breakup, the Avengers breakup.
Yeah.
And then Captain America and all the other guys are kind of fugitives in hiding.
Oh, so it just goes back in the Marvel timeline?
Yeah, which is odd. I wish they kind of said that movie was made during that time because it would have been great. Because it's kind of like, she's not going to live through it. She's going to die anyway, so.
Yeah, it removes it's like what I always said about
It's like having a prequel, like
Legolas and The Hobbit.
Yeah, like who cares?
It's like there's no sense of drama that this guy lives all the way through all of the next 3 movies. Like there's nothing you could do that would like be dramatic unless you just like a retcon the whole series halfway through the movie or something. Oh no, it turns out Legolas did die after all. Lord of the Rings movies don't count.
Yeah. So I would give it a solid like B plus A minus. Definitely worth a watch if you're a big fan of Marvel, the MCU in general. Scarlett Johansson did a great job. Florence Pugh did, everybody in that whole cast did a great job. And that kind of rolls into the new series Hawkeye. I think it's a 6-episode miniseries that they're doing, and it's kind of rolls into like Black Widow to Hawkeye because like it ends during that time of Civil War. Actually, it's a little bit different. Civil War and this one it goes back to the beginning of the first Avengers when they're in New York and aliens are blowing up shit. And that's where we kind of begin with this kid. Her father dies. like half her apartment gets smashed in, and she sees like Hawkeye shooting a couple aliens and shit like that, and she gets inspired by that. Kind of, kind of does a great like intro montage of an origin story, and I kind of wish that people at DC would take note of it. Like, you can have like an opening theme that kind of tells the origins of Batman within 30 to 40 seconds, and you get the gist of it. You don't have to tell the story
Do
again.
it great in Watchmen.
Yeah.
It's great in Watchmen. Like, gives you whole exposition.
Oh, yeah.
Like of
Yeah, that one's up there.
Yeah.
Can't really think of anything better than that.
No, it's a very, very good. Like, the opening 5 minutes of credits tells more story than pretty much any other fucking DC movie collectively.
Mm-hmm. So this one's a little bit different than any of the Marvel movies. It's more towards gauged towards like teenagers, not in like a WBCW way, but
Thankfully,
a little bit more little bit lighthearted.
Okay.
And it's kind of like it's a Christmas series because it's kind of almost in real time. It's kind of leading up. There's 6 episodes or 6 weeks till Christmas, so it's like during.
Oh, we didn't release all of them yet. It's just,
no, it's a weekly thing. They released the first 2 episodes.
Oh,
and so far so good. Can't really say much. It's an ongoing series, but I enjoy it. It's kind of like it's interesting now that you have like such a history of the MCU. Now it's kind of, you want to relate how much time has passed and what has happened to these people that actually been fighting in this war. Where Hawkeye's like, you could tell he's kind of beat up, lost his hearing, and just kind of like damaged through all the stuff that he's been through. And yeah, and it kind of reflects that through the series.
Well, yeah, because he's
a normal dude.
He's a dude,
yeah.
Just like Black Widow is like a normal chick, more or less.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of funny. Like, yeah, they're a normal dude, but they'll kill everybody else. Any normal person.
Well, it's just like if
they're like the best of the human race. Right. It's not enhanced.
They're like Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So he's like the worst guy on an NFL team.
Yeah.
Or like we were talking about, like
the White Mamba.
Yeah, it's like anybody that, you know, was like bad for a pro league. Like, look, they're still super awesome compared to you.
Yeah.
Like, compared to a AAA league player, fuck you up. But just compared to other people that are basically superhuman, like, yeah, not so much.
Yeah.
This is kind of like,
yeah, I've seen people that are like considered like UFC scrubs and seen him in the practice rooms. Like, dude, that guy would fuck anybody up here. But not against any other pro, but he'll fuck anybody else on the street.
Right, but the fact that you could just even get in the ring with a UFC pro or a pro boxer and not get fucking killed is an indicator that you're pretty fucking good, because, you know, the top 1% of the top 1%.
Logan Paul, he's pretty good then.
I guess. Well, someone trying to kill you.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like UFC hasn't become enough of a farce yet that I don't think you can.
Oh, just go to Japan. You'll see that.
Oh, is that right?
It's fucking crazy. They'll have somebody in their prime. What's her name? Gabby Garcia. She is like a multiple world time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. She's massive. She's like 6'2", 260 something. She fought someone that was like 65 years old. Grandma. Not 65. She's probably in her 50s. Old lady. Probably like 5'6" at most, $140, soaking wet.
Okay, at least in the UFC you don't see this. Because they haven't got hip to it at that circus sideshow of like the spectacle. Because
yeah, the Japanese love that shit.
Right, they love it. And so I would actually love to see one of these supposed circus matches where somebody didn't get the memo that, like, this is how I feel it would be like if you try to set up one of these circus matches with fucking Tyson. Is like he just wouldn't get the memo that, like, oh, you're supposed to make it a good show, and he just
fuck up that white boy.
Right. He would just fucking kill whoever it was. He would just destroy him if it were possible.
Well, they used to have, like, back in the day, I think Ollie fought like a pro wrestler at one point.
I think that was Chuck Webner, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know who he fought. Oh, no.
They spoof it in fucking Rocky 3.
Yeah. And there was an actual match against Ali versus a judoka. I forgot who it was. I think they considered it the first mixed martial arts match. There was certain rule sets, like if the judo guy took Ali down, he can only hold him down for like 5 seconds.
And that seems, it just seems
it's
silly.
dumb.
It's like, well, what's the point of that? Like the whole point of grappling and pulling someone to the ground is like, that's it.
Yeah,
boxer guy dies.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to just see that where it's like build like, oh, like some YouTube star again or whatever was like against Manny Pacquiao, and Manny, I'm just going to do my job, right?
No, Manny's too nice,
and they're just gonna do like and he just fucking runs through him and destroys him and kills him or something.
It's just he signed his life.
Yeah, Manny's probably too nice, but I don't know. I can't really think of anybody with like, I don't know. The thing is it's just kind of baked into the concept that guys that are in their prime enough now that have that killer instinct. Like if you did that to Tyson Fury, that's what would fucking happen. But Tyson Fury would never endeavor to do that shit because he still makes whatever $50 million a purse to fight actual fighters.
Yeah, he was willing to. Weren't we talking about this last time? He was willing to fight Mike Tyson just to help him out.
Yeah, and I feel like we kill Tyson. Probably, maybe. But I don't know. But I feel like that would actually be a fight. But who knows? Maybe not. Maybe it would just be a circus sideshow because it's all like for charity or whatever. It's like, I want one of these things to go so awry that you really realize that, that like the reality of it actually hits you. Because we all like, we all think it's like fun and games and play pretend, but just over a long arc, you become aware that some people like, I feel this with reality TV. It's like when reality TV was all like a new thing, we all were just like, oh yeah, it's all fun and games, right? Or Weekly World News, like these tabloid shit. But over a long enough arc, you get people that actually begin to just kind of like lose sight of what reality is. I had a conversation with somebody about this one time they're like, oh, do you watch this thing? And I'm like, no, I don't really do reality TV. It's like, well, do you think it's crazy that this and that? I'm like, why would I care? Well, I don't know. I mean, it's just like, and I'm like, it's pretend, right? Like it's pretend.
No.
That was kind of their attitude. Like, well, how do you know
There's reality in it.
And I'm like, because do you know anybody's life that looks like this? Like, seriously, you can't tell that these people they don't behave like normal people any more than like I would go to the circus and the dancing bear on the ball. I think like that's what bears do in the wild. This is how bears behave. Like, no, it's been trained to do that. Like for my viewing pleasure. They just didn't get that. And I just think that we're getting close to the thing where we're just going to think that that's like, oh, well, he did pretty good, that YouTube guy. Like, he was surprised. It's like, no, he didn't. Like, he lost miserably in a way that was acceptably miserably so that it didn't undermine the status of the legitimate fighter, but didn't humiliate him. Because the legitimate guy probably wasn't actually trying to humiliate this person. Because if he had that fucking killer instinct like he would have against somebody who he actually thought was a threat, then that could be dangerous. It would be bad. And so that's kind of the premise of the first Rocky movie. Like that's Apollo Creed's trainer says this after he goes out, and he's like, the odds or whatever have it at like Creed's gonna knock him out in the 3rd round. So he comes out and the announcers are like, oh, here's Creed showboating for the crowd, and he trying to give fans their money's worth, and Rocky like swats him and fucking knocks him down. Everybody's like, oh my god, right? And he comes back to his corner. He's like, what the hell happened? He's like, he doesn't know that this is a spectacle. He thinks this is a fight, right? It's like, you better fucking square up and act like you're here to do business, or you might get fucking swatted like that again. But yeah. So
I don't know how we got on that tangent, but okay.
No, I don't know.
Anyway, I get to...
because of disparities between talent and Hawkeye and and the rest of the Avengers. So,
other movie I got to watch was Children of Men. Never seen it from start to finish.
Pretty solid sci-fi flick.
Yes, very good. I was really worried in the first act because the dialogue is so wooden.
Yeah.
It was rough. I was like, it can't be. I don't know why people would like this, and it got rolling.
Yeah.
So I understand why I see a lot of the visual language in a lot of media from that. Like
Mhm.
looking at it from, how many years later? 15, 20 years later? I don't
Yeah,
know.
jeez, I guess it has been that long.
Yeah. Now that I see a lot of where people get their inspirations for certain shots, especially from video games. That first person thing, actually not first person, third person, where they're running through, like it would be the cutscene where crazy shit's happening in the background and all this stuff. And
Yeah, it definitely is very visually influential and like a seminal movie in that
mhm,
genre. It's like if when you had never seen Blade Runner and you go back and watch Blade Runner, and you're like, oh, that's where all the shit comes from.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
So, same thing with like Aliens,
mhm,
Blade Runner, um, what is it? Black Hawk Down for
mhm,
sure.
mhm.
And the whole thing, the big take, like it was a great story to begin with. Um, Big takeaway thing is like kind of the world building of that series.
Yeah. By the way, all like 3 of those 4 movies you just listed are all Ridley Scott movies.
Oh yeah, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of the world building of that series. The whole like that whole box that everyone gets, either it's like a suicide pill or antidepressant,
Mhm.
that's built around the series. Kind of like the whole Fuji's thing that happens around there, um, and kind of like the exposition comes out kind of naturally in a way, but everyone would know these certain things, like the
Yeah.
whole midwife explaining like how it's like slowly the births were like decreasing through the years and then
Yeah.
finally stopped. Like why are you telling this guy? But it naturally comes out.
Yeah.
And kind of the realization of like the girl that's pregnant, how would you know that you'd be pregnant? Because you've never seen a pregnant person in your life, right? Makes sense. Or how she doesn't know how to kind of soothe the baby because she would never see that.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there isn't like especially like the last scene of the movie I think is really like a very very well done scene.
Mhm. It
And
was
so
super intense.
yeah, it's really good. But you have to you have to forgive some things about it, like the gigantic plot hole that like just because this one woman can get pregnant and
Mhm.
has a kid does not in any way portend that this is
The end of whatever's happening.
right, that it's going to like somehow cure this problem
Mhm.
or whatever, right? I mean, it provides a glimmer of hope, which is good and interesting in an otherwise bleak and fucking dystopian future.
Super bleak.
And so but you have to just kind of ignore that like everyone's treating it like they have the cure for AIDS or something, and it's like, well, but not really, because there's a whole other slew of operational problems of like
Well, I think
this.
the thing that they're worried about is like the government taking over the child and hoisting it up to something else.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's their big worry. I don't think they were ever saying that there was a cure or anything like that, but she's just a very important person.
Right, no, but they kind of treat it like she's important for like because without her then we have no prospect of solving the problem of procreation, and with her we do have a prospect, but it's like but you really don't in any way that's meaningful. um but yeah, all that like
It's just hope in a bleak world.
right, all that aside, like I think it's a really underrated movie.
Mhm.
um it's yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, just even that car scene when they're coming up, driving through the road to get to wherever, and the whole shot where it's like a one shot thing, camera's spinning inside the car. And like up until you see the behind the scenes, like how the fuck did they do that? Like the car comes apart and camera moves around, people are ducking out of the way.
yeah.
And it's kind of amazing too with like that last the third act where he's like running between all the buildings. That's all one shot.
Yeah.
You can see some, well, if you're looking for it, you can find where the cuts are. But in general, it's very smooth. It's like, did they need to do that? No, but they accomplished a very like a beautiful shot.
Yeah,
It kind of pulls you in, first person type of thing. You're in the shit.
yeah, and unlike a lot of movies that I think have been made in the last 10 or 12 years or whatever, like there's actual real stakes to the movie. You're somewhat invested in the characters.
Yeah, when the baby's born, very kind of vulnerable spot, and you're in a lot of danger.
Yeah.
And it seems like anybody could die.
Yeah, I do. It does take a little while to get going, but I think that the acting's not that great. I mean, Clive Owen's pretty decent, but like everybody else is just
Why
kind
is
of like
Julianne like she does such a bad job acting?
who?
Julianne Moore.
Oh yeah, I don't get why people think she's good.
I don't know. So like I said, it's so wooden. She has like the worst acting job in that whole movie.
She is just not a very good actress in general. I
Hey,
don't.
I thought you were going to help us.
Yeah, she's not very
You
good.
think I forgot about our child dying? That was my child too.
Yeah, go back and watch Hannibal. She's not good in that either. There's another movie I watched this week, fucking Red Dragon.
Great movie.
God damn, that movie's fucking good.
Yeah, it's great.
It's not as good as Silence of the
It's
Lambs.
no Manhunter, but okay.
It's not as good as Silence of the Lambs overall,
but
but
it's still a very good sequel or prequel.
Ed Norton's performance is one of the best performances of any movie.
Mhm.
And I also watched American History X with my girlfriend. Ed Norton week.
I thought
Another
we talked about this.
maybe we did.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah, you
it
talked
was-
about it. It was on the show notes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So it was like on the cusp. So I watched that, and so we watched Red Dragon. I've been meaning to watch it. So, man, God, this movie's fucking good. Because unlike Silence of the Lambs, like it would be easy to kind of do a paint by numbers kind of recreation because there are some similarities between the Red Dragon case and the Buffalo Bill case,
Mhm.
and you can see those kind of threads. But the movie decides to, at a certain point, kind of split the narrative and kind of show you the daily life of. This was very much in the zeitgeist at the time, where
Mhm.
it was like, let's humanize the villain and like make him like have a backstory and a conscience, where Buffalo Bill is really just like a fucking monster.
Yeah,
Just-
it kind of seems like a Godfather 2 thing.
yeah, it was just very popular like in the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And but I think it's done to very good effect. I think all the acting in that movie is good. Fucking Harvey Keitel is in it. Ed Norton's fantastic. Ray
Oh, I'm
Fiennes
Hyde Cartel. Oh,
Ray Fiennes is very good.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
that was his breakout role for me. That's the first time I ever saw him.
Yeah, Emily. Well, the thing is though, is I've seen him in other stuff, like he's in The English Patient.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Terrible in The English
I
Patient.
just know him. He's in there.
The English Patient's terrible. It's a terrible fucking movie. I don't go anyone likes it. It's stupid. It's heavy-handed. It's like saccharine. It's just dumb. I don't like it. It's fucking terrible. But he's great in Red Dragon, and it's real. But for me, it's Ed Norton's character and like the development, and his character is much more interesting than I think Clarice Starling's character is. But the
It was a whole family dynamic too that kind of brings some depth into that character.
Mhm.
It's not just the single white female.
Yeah, exactly. But she has some interesting things, because I think I talked about this before, where I was talking about like how inherently stuff that I could like, that woke stuff is just definitionally bad, because there are no themes that you can put in something that make it bad, right? And if you look at Silence of the Lambs, it's a good example. Silence of the Lambs has this whole backdrop narrative of like a woman in a man's world and in a man's
It is a
profession.
man's world.
Exactly. But it's not good. Like, it's not really bad. So it's like, that's not like woke stuff definitionally is just fucking bad. Like, it's super heavy handed and like tries to sell you on a concept of things that don't jive with reality in any way that looks familiar to you. But you can have things like that has some feminist themes in it, and it's very, very well done. Or same thing with Man on Fire. I feel this same way. Like Man on Fire, like has some kind of
Denzel movie?
yeah,
Okay.
has some elements of some woke shit. Like the bad guys are all like just fucking like evil white capitalist guys.
Mhm.
Like, and the protagonist, he's like a black dude and like whatever. There's like this kind of racial tension and whatever. But it's a great fucking movie. It's basically Denzel Washington's been making the same fucking movie since then. Like, he's made that movie like 5 times.
Yeah.
All just a harkening back to Man on Fire, which is a great
Equalizer.
yeah, sequels to Equalizer, and it's just very, very similar, but it's like, it's all just Man on Fire, which is a great fucking movie. Just go back and watch that again. But yeah, but Ed Norton's character is more interesting with his weird kind of sympathetic to the villain kind of mentality, and especially the culmination of it in the end is really, really effectively done and well written. So, but yeah. Anyway, did you watch more Marvel movies, or did you Children of Men? Anything else?
Saw the first episode of Cowboy Bebop without commercials, which is great.
Yeah,
that was good.
I watched a couple more episodes of that too.
Yeah, I need to go do that.
Yeah.
It's nice.
The cartoon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's nice not fucking having the fucking goddamn commercials.
Oh
dude.
yeah.
It fucking kills me.
Yeah, you'll be hooked, I think, by the first 3 or 4 episodes are basically just kind of getting the team together, right? It's like the first act of Avengers or whatever. By the time you get to like I would say probably Ballad of Fallen Angels is the first episode, you'll just be like, all right, I'm fucking on this show now. But I have to say that I have no interest in watching the live action one though. Like absolutely zero.
I need to watch the cartoon first. The anime, sorry.
I just don't know what it's going to add. It's not a new plot line. It seems like it's just...
Oh, that sucks.
From what I can tell, it's just a rehashing of the series with live actors. And it's like, yeah, what's the point of that? I don't understand that.
We made a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why? What is the point?
Well, I will say at least
when you want to do like a remake, it has to be kind of transformative to a certain degree, right? Because it's like, why watch this when you can watch the original that inspired this?
I will say though that like if I'm forced to choose between something that is adding absolutely nothing new and something that is supposed to be like a fresh take that like upends tropes and like generally those things have no reverence for whatever their source material is, and I'm forced to choose between the two, at least I can say the former, like the remake of Psycho, Gus Van Sant, I think. Like, sure, it doesn't add anything.
Why?
Right. But it very obviously...
You spent a whole bunch of rich people's money to make a fucking remake, a shot-for-shot remake that does absolutely nothing.
But at least I can say that it respects and has reverence for the original Psycho.
Guess what? You can watch the original Psycho.
I agree.
It'd be the same fucking thing.
I agree.
What's the point?
I feel quickly about this way.
At least you added something to it. It was transformative to have something different. And that's fine. You could rest on that. Is it bad? Maybe. I don't know. But at least you made something a little bit different. If I wanted to watch the original, I'll watch the original.
Right. Different and bad I could forgive. Right. Different and bad. But generally speaking, I feel like a lot of things that are reimaginings or remakes of things, they don't just do something different that falls short of the mark. They do something different that almost seems like it's trying to undermine exactly the thing that it is.
I think I'm fine with that. I just, shot for shot stuff does not make sense for me.
Well, I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either, but I'm just saying that like I've seen enough shit that claims that it is going to be some sort of reimagining that just seems that they really don't even particularly like or care for. Again, this is my point about Quentin Tarantino, is as much as he, rips off other movies,
at least he puts a spin in it.
Right, but you could say like, oh, he rips off a bunch of other movies, but it's like, but I genuinely feel that like he respects and admires those things that he's riffing on, even if he did like a complete just remake. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about like A Fistful of Dollars?
I like it.
It's like the exact same movie as Yojimbo. It's the same movie.
Yeah. Well, I never saw Yojimbo, so I don't know.
Oh, right. So if you like Fistful of Dollars, you like Yojimbo even more because it's like a samurai movie to boot. So it just seems like that'd be even more your jam. But yeah, same movie. I mean, I guess the new spin is that it's a Western instead of a samurai movie or whatever. Okay, yeah. I watched Outlaw Josie Wales. Speaking of Westerns. Man, that movie's good. The movie's fucking good. It is in the catalog of all-time best Westerns, period. Although, it prompted an interesting discussion. Dave Coit was at the shop. Someone put it on. That Ben guy. He was like, oh, like, what should I watch? And I'm like, I don't know.
What?
Ben?
Ben?
The guy that comes in the shop, Ben. He's a little ass beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, good dude.
He put that on?
Well, he was asking. He was like, I want to watch something, but I don't know what I want to watch. And I was like, what are you in the mood for? He's like, something action-y. I want to watch something action-y, like action movies. And I was like, oh, have you ever seen The Outlaw Josie Wales? He's like, no. I'm like, you're missing out. It's a great movie. Put it on, 20 minutes in. He's like, oh, this is a great movie, right? Like already. I'm like, okay, good. But we're watching it. And Dave Coit, here's the response I get from Dave Coit. He's like, oh, Outlaw Josie Wales again? And I'm like, what do you mean again? I don't know that I've ever watched this movie here. And I was like, not to mention, there is no amount of The Outlaw Josie Wales that is too much. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, in the early days of the shop, they played a lot of Westerns.
Okay. Yeah. Either way.
So, I think I had my fill of westerns for a while.
Man, that one's good. But then he was like, I was like, dude, The Outlaw Josie Mails might be the best Western ever if it wasn't for Unforgiven.
I was
Like,
gonna say, you were gonna say Unforgiven.
Unforgiven is probably the best Western, maybe Tombstone. And he was like, The Outlaw Josie Bales is way better than Tombstone. And I was like, there is not any movie that's way better than Tombstone. We might be able to debate whether Outlaw Josie Wales is better or Tombstone is better, but there is no movie, period, Western or not, that is way better than Tombstone. What are you fucking talking about? It's like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm like, so that's weird that you're like, you don't want to watch this, you're tired of it, but you still think it's better than Tombstone. I don't, you're weird, but anyway, yeah, great movie. And actually, like, having just watched Unforgiven not that long ago, I forget how many of the things in Unforgiven are actually a direct take on that movie. I just think of them as a take on stuff in the Western genre. But most of it is actually from The Outlaw Josie Wales, like end caps, like, because that was the first Western that Clint Eastwood directed, The Outlaw Josie Wales. And then Unforgiven was kind of like the end, so it's like end caps it nicely. Most of it is like a lot of the shots that mirror it and a lot of the dialogue, like, it's like, oh, this is actually all from this movie. I kind of had forgotten. I kind of just lump it in together with, like, you know, Hang 'em High and Two Mules for Sister Sarah and the Man with No Name trilogy and all the other Westerns he did. But I'm like, no, most of it's just from this movie in particular. So,
Probably check that out.
Fucking solid movie, man. Really, really good. A lot of stuff going on in it. But, yeah, watch that at the shop. I'm trying to think I watched something else new too, or not something else new necessarily, but something I hadn't watched in a while, or that was new. But the only things new that I watched was that movie that I watched tonight, which is not worth watching. So, but yeah, it's a hard pass. Don't watch Blow Up. It's not good.
Yeah, there's some movies I saw at the shop. I just don't remember what they were. Like, it's kind of like throwaway things when people play it for some reason. I'm like, let's watch it later.
Yeah, we started watching. I don't know if I got all the way through it, but it was on that Nobody movie with Bob Odenkirk. That's pretty decent.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Is it a movie or a series?
It's a movie, I think.
Oh, okay, interesting.
It was pretty solid. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it seemed like.
Is it his like version of Taken, where like now he's an action star?
I mean, a little more than. I mean, it's Bob Odenkirk, so anything he does that's remotely action, he's gonna make him more of a. But yeah, it's kind of similar to that.
Yeah.
How
about we do some improvisational comedy?
Let's do some improvisational comedy. Actually, let's do some improvisational comedy. Yeah, all right. But no, that was pretty solid. I didn't get all the way through it, but
knock, knock, knock. We're closed.
Oh, you again? Why? I've never met you before. I just thought because you don't go assuming things that aren't in the narrative. Like, we didn't establish this backstory ahead of time.
That's a series that like has a lot of like gems to it, but I've never fucking seen that series. I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, I don't know. It's got like the few episodes that I've seen of it, like the 3 or 4 that I've seen, are all pretty good. It was like, oh, that was pretty funny.
I just don't like Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, I know. He's too mean for you. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, a lot of watching, but not a whole lot new, but just kind of revisiting old favorites.
Hot mic.
Hot mic. Hot.
This is why I'm hot. This jacket.
Yeah?
That's fine.
No?
It's fine.
Mine's toasty.
Oh, nice.
All wool.
So, you didn't do anything for the, like, were you off any of the 4 days? The usual long weekend stuff, or not really?
No. I worked at the shop on Thanksgiving. And then I went home and made a small dinner for me and Diana. She baked rolls. That was cool. And pecan pie, cookies. And then pecan. I don't know. Pecan.
Apparently, pecan is the correct pronunciation. That's closer to the actual Native American word.
Pecan.
Yeah.
A pecan just sounds quaint.
Yeah.
Pecan.
Yeah. Some Midwestern mom. Want some pecan pie?
You want some pecan pie there? Oh yeah, there. Don't
you know?
Betcha. Yeah, you betcha. But no, so I just made some. Oh, this was kind of cool. So I made some stuffing, some like just instant stuffing, instant potatoes, like a small turkey breast,
You sous vide it?
cranberry jelly, and gravy, right? Just the basics. And then Diana made rolls and pie.
Mm.
But I got hip to something that Father Bob told me. He was like, you know what I do with like stuffing the next day? And I'm like, I don't know, eat it. He's like, no. Put a little bit of heavy cream and an egg in it. Pulse it up in the food processor till it's like a batter. And then you put it in the waffle iron.
What?
And you make it into a waffle.
Oh, shit.
A little bit of cranberry sauce, turkey. Pretty fucking good, dude.
That sounds pretty good.
It's pretty fucking, especially because it was cornbread stuffing.
Uh-huh.
It was pretty solid. I should have cooked it a little longer to get a little bit more of a crisp on it, but
yeah, that sounds dope.
I got woke on that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. Him and Rob Scott got me woke on the pizza omelet. Yeah, that's where I got that from. That shit's dope.
But yeah, so that was pretty much all I did for the holiday. Oh, and then I watched In the Line of Fire, which is also a very good movie, or Clint Eastwood movie. John Malkovich in it. Very, very solid. It's a really underrated movie.
John Malkovich.
I don't like that movie. That
I don't.
Fucking
it's weird. It's weird.
I think most of the stuff that guy does is weird. Because it's Charlie Kaufman, right? Charlie Kaufman wrote that, being John Malkovich, and Adaptation. And the only thing I really like by him is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That movie's like just weird enough to be really awesome. But yeah, everything else by him I think is a little too weird. So I don't know. But no, In the Line of Fire is definitely a hard recommend if you've never seen it. It's kind of like almost what Unforgiven is to Clint Eastwood's Western persona, and what Gran Torino is to his kind of Kelly's Heroes military persona. In the Line of Fire is to his kind of like Dirty Harry persona.
Okay.
But it's from like the 90s. John Malkovich is great in that movie. So yeah, pretty solid. It's got Renee Russo in it, which it's like one of like 3 movies I can name that she's even in.
I don't like her that much.
She's okay.
Very vanilla. It could be anybody else.
Yeah, she's okay.
Could be anybody else.
What I do like about it
is serviceable.
That she's his love interest, and I think what she was for a while was the love interest for guys like Clint Eastwood and Bruce Willis and stuff like that. Because what does irritate me is you watch like the Jack Ryan movies, and it's like, you know, fucking Tom Cruise is like in his 50s now, and his love interest is still like fucking 21 or 22, and it's like, this is annoying to me. Like, you know, some woman that's like young enough to be his daughter, it's like it's weird to me.
Which movies?
The Jack, not Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher, I'm sorry.
Oh, Jack Reacher. Jack Reacher is oh yeah, that's right. I forgot he played. Yeah,
he's by Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He's 52 or 53, and then the woman that's like his, you know, love interest in it is like in her early 20s, and you're just like, this isn't.
So for the first one, it was what's her face? She's like super famous now. I forgot her name.
Gal Gadot.
No.
Margot Robbie.
No. She was in Gone Girl.
Rosamund Pike?
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, but even still, she's like 20 years younger than Tom Cruise.
She's like 30 at the time.
Either way, I get tired of that. And so it's like,
well, older ladies don't get screen time.
Sure, fair enough. But like, don't
beat it, old lady.
Don't have a 50.
Don't have a family or something.
Don't have a 50-year-old Clint Eastwood, 60-year-old Clint Eastwood, however old he is in that movie, and try to tell me that, like, you know, some 20-something-year-old, especially because she's
I don't want to be kissing some old lady.
She's like a Secret Service agent. So for a while, because
that's probably why they're so young.
Maybe, but you have to think about it from the perspective.
If you had your choice, you want to kiss some old grandma in the mouth?
well, what's an old grandma? I'm saying that, like, okay, so if you were gonna cast a movie now, and the main protagonist was, say, somewhere between 45 and 57, the male protagonist.
Yeah.
So you need a woman that is at least in the ballpark of his age. She could be a little younger, but not like significantly younger. And you want her to be like believable as like a woman that he's attracted to. Like, who do you cast? You cast Kate Beckinsale, you cast Charlize Theron. You don't cast very many people because there aren't very many women that are over like age of 45 that are still like viably attractive
And plus,
and talented
they're
actresses.
and they have star power too. It's like, I don't want to fucking be a side piece.
Mm-hmm.
I'm be the fucking star. Fuck you.
Right. So I think for a minute there, that's what Renee Russo was. Like, she was like in her 40s and like not like a total grandma, and so she was still believable.
Yeah, she's an old spinster. We'll let her have it.
Yeah, you know, or like, you know, Helen Mirren was this way for a while when she was in her 40s, or Meryl Streep when she was in her 40s and 50s. Like, she was, you know, they don't have to be like model hot chicks. They just have to be believable and somewhat talented actresses to make do. And so I think that for like a minute in the 90s, that's why she got work, because it was like she was one of like the only women that was in her 40s that was still like, they don't want to cast her in some movie with some guy in his 50s. You know, you can't cast like a, you know, 19-year-old Keira Knightley like to be the love interest of like a 50-year-old man. It's fucking weird.
I was born in 1998.
Yeah. I was born in 2000. That's a thing people are now.
Yeah.
Adults were born in 2000. Adults.
Yeah.
That's weird to me.
Oh yeah.
I carded someone a while back. It's
like you see that too, and from like, ugh.
2000. That's weird.
Back in my day, that's the year I graduated high school.
Yeah. Back in my, I graduated high school a few years before that. That's even worse. But it's not weird that it's just weird that that's an adult now.
Yeah. They could vote, have their own family, do stuff.
I don't know about all that, but legally they're an adult. Legally they're an adult, you know.
Fight in wars, vote.
Sure.
Run for Congress.
Yeah. You ever wonder what this is for?
What, this?
Yeah. Is it for like boutonnieres and stuff? Is that what it's?
Put like a, you know, like, yeah. Put roses and shit.
Yeah, but like, what about on like top coats? Like,
same thing.
It makes sense for a suit, but like a top coat? It's like
a
thing
here. There's no button.
Yeah, it's like a thing that I assume. Like, mine doesn't even go all the way through. It's just like it's.
How I put my American pen on this, huh? Answer me that, commie.
I don't have any American pens. Do you? You have an American pen?
No, I don't have any pens.
American flag tie. I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. There you go.
I'm trying to think of like would be super offensive to Americans to put on here.
Abolish the First Amendment or something.
Oh whoa. Fuck your gun rights or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's only like a subset of Americans. But then again, the whole First Amendment, like, apparently if you're a radical leftist, that's probably a thing that you actually believe. The First Amendment was like outdated. Like, it's not necessary. It's like the Second Amendment. They're just making their way down, I think. It's just like
some even like the super like righties just want to do that too. It's like, shut up, this is how it's gonna be.
Right, so
shut your mouth.
Super right-wing people don't like
you gotta stand up or we're gonna arrest you.
They don't like the amendments that protect your due process and shit.
They don't like that shit at all.
Right, they don't like the due process, the cruel and unusual punishment.
If you're arrested, that's for sure you're guilty.
Just put them all in jail.
Just put them all in jail, man. Just put them out in the ocean and sink that boat.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they love the Second Amendment, but they don't really like the Fourth Amendment and the Sixth Amendment and the Seventh Amendment. Like,
peaceful assembly, they don't like that shit either.
Yeah, well, that's in the First Amendment. So yeah, they don't like the First Amendment.
I don't know why they're doing that, saying that stuff. It's messed up. Just put them in jail.
Well, I don't know though. I think a lot of righties are kind of much more much more into the First Amendment than they were like a decade ago, 12, 15 years ago, because it used to be that like, liberals were the ones that really cared about the First Amendment and tried to protect it for so many years. And now they seem hostile to it, and now all the right-wing people are like, whoa, hey, like, we kind of just left that to you to protect, and like, you're fucking dropping the ball, and so they're not
you take care of number one, we take care of number two.
Exactly. It's kind of like the division of labor for a minute, It's like, you take care of number one, we'll take care of number two. And like the Third Amendment, like, no one needs to protect that anymore, so that is an obsolete amendment. We could get rid of that, and probably would be fine.
Which one's that one?
That's where no soldiers sell quarter in like civilian homes.
Oh no. The super righty people are like that.
They're right. What do you mean they're like that?
Yeah, they have like that black flag, the all black flag that says no quartering on it.
Right.
They want to do like a civil war.
But like, is this really a thing that
we don't like that shit?
Is
like what? Threat? No one's asking you.
Is this a thing that like we really is in danger of being trampled upon?
They like that shit. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, I get it. Sure, that's but just
like, they're like saying some shit like no one's asking for that. It's like, yeah, you're not gonna do it. It's like, no, we don't want to do that.
We don't want to do that.
We're gonna have a civil war, buddy.
We already had one of those.
Now another one.
Yeah, it's probably not good. The first one wasn't good, so I don't know why a repeat would. It's like remaking a bad movie. It's like the first one sucked. Why would the second one be any better?
It's different.
Apparently not. We're going to do a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah, apparently, right?
I can't think of very many movies
that still fucking flying that stupid rebel flag. It's like, it's a flag of losers.
Yeah.
Fucking beat it.
Yeah. Sure, yeah. It's a
fucking loser flag, bro.
It's a loser flag, yeah. Just about my rights. It's like
it's about states' rights.
Yeah, and the swastika means unity and brotherhood. But
yeah.
I'm not wearing that anytime soon. Even if I do believe in those ideals, it just seems a little myopic.
There's one thing I thought I would never see in my lifetime, but I saw a Filipino guy with a Hitler mustache. So I went to a restaurant. I was gonna order some food. Guy was like watching a basketball game. He turns around. He didn't have his mask on. He was like, "You fucking have a Hitler mustache? What the fuck is going on here?" And he put it up. I was like, "Bro, what the fuck, man?"
Last time I worked at the shop a couple days ago, or I guess it was yesterday. Dave Smith was in, and fucking McHugh was fucking leaving, and Dave Smith was sitting in the chair that like faces the window closest to the door. And he does this. See ya, Kyle.
Whoa. Whoa.
And I was like, did you just do this and say see Kyle? And he was like, I said see ya, Kyle. I'm like, fucking sounded like see Kyle.
It's like those dorks like, let's go Brandon. I'm like, all right, fine, nerds.
Let's go what?
Let's go Brandon.
Let's go Brandon?
Apparently it was like a football game or a NASCAR race. I don't know which one is which. And the crowd was like chanting, fuck Joe Biden. And then a reporter was like, I think they're saying, let's go Brandon. And then they just rolled with it. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Are you saying Burns or Boo Earns? Are you saying Boo or Boo Earns? I was saying Boo Earns.
Anyway,
what about you? How was your holiday?
It was good. It's actually nice to have 4 days off. 4 whole days. I was happy to have that. I was getting burnt out. And it's gonna go back to the mix, like back into the rat race again.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. Back into training. So that's fun. Yeah, it was just nice to actually not do anything for 2 days. Kind of wanted to live the like quarantine life. It's like I didn't get to have a summer. Let me see how it feels like.
Yeah.
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 Got to watch a whole bunch of movies and I tried to watch the first episode of Tiger King 2. I could get past 5 minutes.
Is it as I expected? That is no longer a docuseries, it's now a reality TV show?
I'm pretty sure it would roll into that, but it became that whole like, what are they doing now? But I think the poetic justice of the Tiger King is that like Joe Exotic's in jail, and he's not getting to enjoy his celebrity.
Yeah.
I think that's like the greatest punishment to a guy like that.
Yeah.
Not him being locked up, is like being secluded away from his fame that he always fucking wanted his whole life.
That is going to fade over like by the time he's even out of jail.
Yeah, by that time, who knows? He might be dead before.
Oh yeah, but it'll be a total shit show to watch him come out and try to capitalize.
Tiger King.
Try to capitalize on his fame that's like now a decade old
like,
or whatever. It's like no one will give a shit,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I think that's like the poetic justice in that part. Where like even the first like opening crawl of that, I was like, I wish I could see, people like see videos. I haven't even seen the documentary yet. And yeah, it was like people talking about me, sending pictures, and like signing autographs and stuff like that. I wish I could see it. It's like, I bet you do.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just like, yep, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck off. Yeah, that's one thing I tried to start. It just didn't. I didn't have it in me to watch any more of it. I might visit it again just to power through the last thing, just get through the first episode at least. Because some of those wacky characters, I kind of want to know what's happening with those guys.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't. I think it was like the season they did was good enough for me, and like I think it's just gonna kind of come off the rails, and it's gonna be like one of those things that like will have a steep cliff instead of a Dexter or Game of Thrones slow declines. Like,
oh yeah, I was trying to watch that. I just completely forgot Dexter. I was gonna watch that just to see what the I just want to see a train wreck. Some people want to go watch a NASCAR race to see some car crashes, or watch an NHL game.
The thing is I don't think that it would be. I bet you it's probably not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you it actually is like halfway decent, but it's just like you already like shit the bed, and like you can't unfuck that situation that you made
unless they like retcon something.
Yeah, and I'm kind of tired of people doing that too. It's like fucking they're just gonna retcon fucking everything. Fucking every series is like major retcons.
Actually, Dexter was never the killer.
He was never.
It was Deb, actually.
It was always Deb. It's like, oh god.
It was Dokes the whole time.
Surprise, motherfucker.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
You never see him get killed on camera.
Hey, you do.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, you see him fly back from the explosion.
Oh, okay.
And they just say that it was like he was dead. But if he's not dead, then he's horribly disfigured and crippled for life or whatever. Like, because you do see him like blow back from the explosion. Yeah, that was a bummer. They killed that character. That's what happens. Kill characters I like in shows.
I wonder if it was the case of like, I don't know how, like the writers are like, we don't know how long the series is gonna go, so why don't we just kill them off right now? Just have some tension.
Well, yeah, because if it had continued to escalate after the second season,
yeah, what are you gonna do with that dynamic?
Right. So, but they actually like handled it fairly well, where it calms off in the third season, and then it kicks it up a little bit in the fourth season, and then fifth season is still pretty decent, and the sixth season drops off a little bit, and then the seventh season there's like the beginning is okay, and then it kind of starts to like trend down. It's just like Game of Thrones, where it kind of keeps you thinking that maybe it'll return to, and then you just like by the time you get to the end you're like, oh, how did I get so far from like this that was good up here like 2 seasons ago? It's just because it's a slow gradual decline where it's not like the drop off in like seasons 2 and 3 of Stranger Things was a pretty big drop off, and like and I there was enough, and I feel like the trending down quickly is what I'm worried about with Westworld too, because the third season I was like, okay, like this has got enough interesting stuff in it to kind of keep me engaged, and it's different. But really, when I compare it to like the first and second season, it's like, meh, it's kind of whatever. But now they're like, seems like they're shifting gears entirely. And on one hand, that's like, okay, I don't want more of what was in season 3. I feel like season 3 said all it had to say on that front. But then I'm always just really apprehensive anytime they're just going to like upend all this stuff that they've established that's good and like try to do something completely different, it makes me apprehensive. It's like, I don't know, maybe it'll be really good and maybe it won't be. And so given shows runs where very few shows have like a fully good run where it's like an arc that is good all the way beginning to end, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, even Sopranos has its dead spots, right? Like first half of season 5 of Sopranos is a little bit
Where
of
did
a
we stop?
What's that?
When did we stop?
End of season 3, I think. Middle of season 3. Watch the Pine Barrens, right? I think that's in season 3.
That's where they got lost in the woods with the Russian.
Yeah, the Pine
Barrens.
Yeah,
we're way past that.
Yeah,
we're at least season past that.
So yeah, we're at the end. I think we finished at the end of season 3.
It's been so long. It's been 2 years,
so
bro.
Long. Yeah, basically. So, but yeah, it has some dead spots in it, and then it recovers at the end. And like a lot of people actually really didn't like the ending of Sopranos, which I find very weird. You haven't seen it yet.
Actually, I've seen the ending. Yeah, but
yeah,
I have no
context.
Yeah, I have no context. But looking at it now, it makes sense. Just how the series, like, as far as the series is now, like where I'm at, it makes sense for that ending to happen.
Like you have enough context in the series for it to ending to be contextualized, because you just kind of can fill in between.
Yeah, it's the end of 6. Your experience with Tony.
Yeah, at
the moment Tony ends his life has ended.
Yeah,
there's nothing after that, so it makes total sense to have it that way. But I need to see more of it to get more of context.
Well, the whole like slam to black too is actually like harkens back to a conversation he has with Bobby later about dying and how he's like, I don't think it's going to be like everybody says, where it's going to be this big magnificent thing where you're up above your body and then you see this white tunnel. I think it just goes dark all of a sudden, right? So that's kind of a harkening back to that conversation that he has with Bobby, like in season 5 or 6.
Bobby Bacala?
Bobby Bacala. Yeah. Bucky Larry. Bacala. Bobby Baklava. But, yeah. Quasimodo, he predicted all of this. What?
Huh?
The end of the world. Everything. Not Quasimodo. Nostradamus. Notre Dame. Nostradamus. They're 2 different things. But yeah, I don't know. So not very many series like have that like good arc to them. Even like comedy series, like some comedies, like fucking How I Met Your Mother's a classic example of that. That series is fucking horrible the way it ends. I'm not even a huge fan of that show, but the ending is fucking terrible.
And that's How I Met Your Mother.
No, I don't. You never actually watched the ending of it? Or?
I've maybe seen 1 episode.
Okay, so I'll just ruin it for you because you're not going to watch it.
Spoilers.
At this point.
Spoilers.
So apparently they had this whole idea, like when they first started the series, about like the whole series is all about like How I Met Your Mother, but it's really not.
How I Married Your Mother.
Because what happens is once you find out how he actually met the mom, then you find out that the mom died shortly thereafter, and then he gets together with Robin.
Oh. That's a terrible thing.
Which the series does not, because the series goes through this whole, and is actually very well done, about this whole like meeting and courtship between him and Robin, and they have this whole back and forth, and it's kind of a meditation on like learning to let go, and like that someone isn't right for you, and they have this whole thing about like, are things between her and Ted over, and are they actually going to be able to move on? And they reconcile this because Barney like falls in love with Robin, and like it's like they have this whole slow progression where it's like it actually makes total sense that her and Barney are together, and like it signifies the fact that like things are definitely over between her and Ted because Barney is like his best friend or whatever, and they're great as a couple, right? They make sense and they go together, and it's super duper earned, for lack of a better word. And then they just, in the course of like 1 episode, they just totally undo it. And like, oh, and then like Barney and Robin were having problems for a while, and they like, and then they broke up. And then she gets back together with Ted because they were meant to be together all along. And it's like, yeah, not earned show.
Yeah.
Like, not at all. Terrible. Fucking awful,
So the
awful
mom
writing.
dies, gives birth to the kids, then dies. Then he marries Robin.
He gets together with Robin, like,
Yeah.
and they all just handled this over the course of like an episode
Oh.
or a couple of episodes, and it's like just not remotely earned in any way. And it's like you're the whole. I just it's really really bad. And it's like, man, I don't like. I mean, not that I was ever really all that invested in the show and the characters in the show, but it's like I can acknowledge when you do like over the course of a 10 season show when you try to like actually earn something. This is I caught up on ER to season 9, and it's like you want to see how you actually have some impact, like when you get rid of a character, watch the first 9 seasons of ER, because when Mark Green dies, it's like one of the saddest things in fucking television ever, because it's like 9 seasons of like in
Not
his
when Mike dies.
yeah. What, Mike?
Yeah, Breaking Bad. Fucking shut. Just let me fucking die. Let me shut the fuck up. Let me die.
No, I don't know though, because that's not as long of a series. It's only 6 seasons in its entirety. And also Mike is not as much of a central character. Mark Green is like the main character of ER for like the first 8 or 9 seasons. And they do this whole thing about like just I don't know, it's a masterclass on how to have like a character's departure from a show actually matter to the audience, because
I would say, well, I never seen ER, but so the reason why I would say Mike's death was like super impactful for me is kind of like the wake of kind of the wake that Walter White leaves on people. He just destroys people for for his personal gain at some point. It's no longer about his family. It's more of like building his empire. You're in his way. And it's a guy that wanted to he was doing the right thing for the people that he needed to make whole. He made a promise for these people. It was like, you need to pay these guys off, take care of their family. This is how we do it. Walter White hadn't wanted none of that. He just wanted all the fucking cash. And he just fucking shot him for really no reason. And it was kind of a tragedy on that point. You shot a good man for nothing.
Sure, but at the same time, so I would contrast that with Mark Green's narrative is that, like, at the very least, you can say, much like in The Sopranos when characters kick the bucket, Mike at least knows the stakes of the game and that game is a violent game. And these violent games have violent ends, right? Like, and so at the very least, there's that. I don't think it's as much of a tragedy as like what happens to Mark, but I'm not saying that Mike's death in Breaking Bad is not earned. I think it is, but there's very few examples of things that are that earned. And I think that the relationship in How I Met Your Mother between Barney and Robin is absolutely earned, and it makes sense because it's like a slow bleed over like several seasons of like all of these things where there's like this little trail of breadcrumbs. It's not like just in one episode they like capriciously hook up or something like that. It's like they have like this thing where it's like they gradually show you that the characters are actually more alike than you realize, and both of the characters come to this realization about the other one, that they're like attracted to each other, and like,
oh, they were just having problems after and that's all that happened.
That's kind of what they do.
Just hand waving away.
And they do. They just fucking hand wave this entire relationship that it's like, and because they both have such hard exteriors about them, they have trouble like admitting that they're interested in each other or that they can ever really be close to each other, because they have very like strong armor against this, and so they have problems with intimacy. And then it's like, but the slow gradual like plodding along of them like realizing that like maybe I have problems with these things because I'm not with somebody who shares these sensibilities and kind of has the same hangups in the same ways, because I'm such a weird anomaly about relationships and shit. And so they have this realization over the course of like several seasons, and then to just kind of undo it with like a hand wavy thing. And not to mention they like Barney like just becomes all slovenly and like fat, and it's just like it almost just seems like they're mocking him. And it's like, that's no way to like treat a character, because they do a good job of like, he is very cavalier and has this like a lot of bravado about him, much like Joey and Friends. But the thing that makes it different is that they actually show you that he actually does have like inner thoughts and feelings and hangups, and like has this soft spot for Robin, and actually does want like something meaningful, even though he's kind of a womanizer. And so it's like an exception to this rule, and that's like kind of engenders some sympathy for the character, and then just kind of like undo it very quickly, and then almost seemingly mock this character that you've created to be somewhat sympathetic. Is like, okay, you're just kind of working against your own goals there. It's like, doesn't make any sense. I really don't like when um shows or movies, period, kind of establish characters to be a certain way and then undo that and do it so mocking. This is one of the biggest problems I had with the Watchmen series, is that I thought that as a general characterization of Ozymandias, they don't seem to really give a they seem to make that character in some way farcical, where in the movie and in the comic he is like a fearsome villain, and he's like, maybe misguided, but the narrative of the story seems to respect him. And in the Watchmen series, it seems like he's just kind of played up like a caricature of him, and it's like, but that doesn't seem like a fate of a character, that character that I would want, and doesn't seem to have any reverence or regard for the fact that he's been established as a certain type of person. Is the same problem I have with the Last Jedi and the portrayal of Luke Skywalker in that movie. Is it just seems like it kind of treats him flippantly with disregard for everything that we know about this character having built up to this point, and it really, really fucking irks me when IPs do that.
Yeah, I never really had a problem with the portrayal of Luke in the Last Jedi. Last Jedi?
Yeah, Last Jedi.
Yeah, Skywalker's the last one. Yeah, because it felt like that he kind of gained perspective after like failing at building up, you know, not Jedi Council, just the Jedi's in general. And it's kind of a lost cause. And no longer is really bringing balance to the Force. You're just creating more fucking like cops. Really.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like, it doesn't jibe with like the trajectory of Luke. That it feels to me like the writer is mocking Luke Skywalker and everything that he kind of supposedly stood for. Like you want to see him and would expect to see him step into a similar role to Obi-Wan or Yoda. And this is to my thesis of like, oh, we're doing something different and like turning the whole like, tropes on its head. And it's like, yeah, but it just seems like,
Yeah, it seems like he became less dogmatic about everything and kind of just found kind of his way. And
but he doesn't seem like a mentor to me. He doesn't seem like he's
yeah, it doesn't want to be one.
Yeah, and it's just like, I just didn't care for that turn. It doesn't seem like, why the fuck is Rey even there? She doesn't seem like she wants Luke's help. He doesn't want to help her. It doesn't seem like she needs his help to do anything. And so it just seems like wasted fucking screen time and wasted character development. Like, that doesn't jibe with what we know, the tenets of what we know kind of Luke is about up to that juncture. And it seems like you're just trying to rewrite the character in a way, especially with the whole like
I think it's more of for me, it felt like the whole kind of he was set on a path. The path was broken, and then now you're seeing a broken man, and it comes into contact with somebody else that's looking for help, looking for guidance. He doesn't want any of that, but in the end, he realizes he does need to give some inspiration, give hope to kind of like a bad situation. And that's where that storyline kind of.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like Luke has any agency at all. It doesn't seem like he is in any way a linchpin to anything in the series in a way that Yoda or Obi-Wan were. right?
Oh, I'm sure he is.
it-
Same thing that how Obi-Wan was kind of like this is my last stand, and I will sacrifice myself to inspire Luke and to help the group in general escape from the situation. Same thing he did when he kind of like force projected himself onto that planet, battled Kylo Ren. Same kind of arc that Obi-Wan had in a shorter time frame.
I don't know. I hated it. I hated what they did with Luke in The Last Jedi. It's what killed Star Wars for me, is that whole movie and that whole trajectory of like all that. I was like, okay, yep, I'm just completely out of Star Wars now. Don't fucking. But yeah, and so it really irks me when they do that with characters, and I felt like they did the same thing with Ozymandias, and I feel like they do the same thing with plenty of characters that are like well established, and then you just try to like unravel that in some way that undermines everything. It seems like the writers don't care about the character. They don't have any reverence for them. Like if you're gonna kill a character off, right, and a character has been established, to me it would be like if you saw Darth Vader die because he like tripped over something
A banana.
A banana peel. It's like this
Someone touched his button.
Yeah, this farcical, comical fucking thing for
he
like.
let R2D2 touch his buttons and he died.
That's it. It's not far off from the way that I would feel as if they did that. It's like you have no fucking respect for this character at all.
Or C-3PO like fell on slipped on a banana and touched his buttons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some characters that's fine with. Gigi fucking dying on the shitter in Sopranos. Like, okay, yeah, you have no reverence for that character. He is a throwaway character.
Hey, he died on the piece of do.
He died on the fucking piece of do.
He likes eating gabagool and bourbon.
And the thing is even in the show they acknowledge that that's kind of like a middle finger to that character. Like it's like that's still going on the piece of do. It's fucking humiliating, right? Like it's like, yeah, it is. And so, but like if Tony or someone ate the fucking kick the bucket that way, it would be like, man, come on. Like you're just totally like no reverence for like, you're not respecting the rules of fucking storytelling to like, expectation of like what it is that like this character and their significance and meaning within the context of the plot, to just kind of like hand wave them away. That's what they did in How I Met Your Mother, and it's absolutely atrocious ending. And then to shoehorn in like, well, she was meant to be with Ted all along. It's like, we decided that in the first episode. I'm like, yeah, but there's been 10 seasons since then. Surely you could acknowledge that like the characters in the plot have kind of taken on something that was beyond what you initially intended, and kind of go with that makes more sense. This is the room that you're in now.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to like J.K. Rowling like regretting having Harry marry Jenny. Is that the character? I forgot.
I don't know.
Ron's sister.
When does that happen?
At the very last book.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be like, I think she regretted like having that set up. It's like, it should have been Hermione. Kind of fucked up. But
she should have regretted introducing time turners into the whole Harry Potter universe, because it fucks up everything. It fucks up everything. It fucks up so many more things than just like that one movie where they're a thing. It's just like, oh, it ruins the world. It's like, yeah, okay. But yeah. But okay, let's just say, okay, it should have been Hermione. And then in the last scene, in the last movie, she realizes this, and it's like, oh, well, as it turns out,
he gets divorced. He's like, broke.
No, she dies because she had explosive diarrhea, and like, and then Harry is just like needing to get his dick wet, and then Hermione's over here, and she's not as cute as you thought she would be, but like whatever.
They still look the same. I thought you grew up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, rewatching those movies, I was like, yeah, she did look like she was gonna be like a cute adult, but she
just stayed the same.
Yeah,
it's like, ugh.
I think part of it's the hair. I think part of it is that her head gets bigger, but her face stays the same size. So it's like an equal distribution of like proportions when she was a kid, like her face, but then her head gets bigger, almost like Haley Joel Osment, and her face is still kind of crowded into the middle. It's like, but your head just grew out, but your facial features stayed in the same proportion. It's really weird. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Diana doesn't get it. She's like, well, she's beautiful. I mean, she's not ugly. I'm not saying that.
No, she just, you would think she would be a lot prettier, but she just became very average.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, by normal human standards, she's still attractive, but you
Sure.
would just project
Yeah,
out.
you would think she was going to be very beautiful when she gets older, but it's like,
Right, you would think it's like when you look at Natalie Portman when you saw Professional, it's like she's gonna be fucking hot when she gets older. Like you could tell because she, and sure enough, she gets hot. Or Mila Kunis when she was young, you're like, okay, because she's gonna be very hot when she gets older.
Yeah.
And you thought the same thing of Emma Watson, and it just kind of turned out like, yeah. I mean, you're good looking, but not like. Or Haley Joel Osment, same way. You're like, he's like a cute kid. And I was like, but as an adult, he looks weird. He looks a weird looking adult.
Yeah, it's one of those. He's kind of has the same Paul McCartney thing. You just look like an old lesbian lady now.
It looks like an old lesbian, exactly.
This old man's yelling at me.
Why is this old man yelling at me? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like Ellen DeGeneres.
I do love that Paul McCartney was like a vegetarian for like 30 years or something, and then the second his wife died, he started
like,
eating
fuck
meat again.
this shit.
Like, start eating meat again.
Man, have you tried that double cheeseburger, bro? It's good.
Especially because you know that there is a high cost to pay.
My girlfriend's a vegetarian, so that makes me vegetarian.
That pretty much makes me a vegetarian, but I do enjoy a tasty burger. It's like, yeah.
What's that new Kahuna burger you having?
It's a Kahuna burger? That's that Hawaiian burger joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never understood that. People that just like assimilate into like the eating habits of somebody they're dating or whatever dogma they believe in, right? Like, I wasn't Catholic, but now I'm dating someone who's Catholic, so I am Catholic. It's like, surely you can maintain your own sense of identity without like having...
Yeah, I met some never mind, I'm not gonna say, but yeah.
It's just like a tip your hat. You're like, oh, people know who I'm talking about.
No. I don't think it's none of my business to say, but yeah.
Sure, it's not any of my business. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It seems peculiar to me that
I respect these people.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I have to respect everything that someone does just because I respect them entirely.
I respect them enough not to put their business out on the tens of people that listen.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I don't know, it seems like a weird phenomenon to me to like assimilate into. But then again, maybe this is because I just don't do that. Maybe this is why I have trouble with women and friends, because it's just like maybe to a certain degree, assimilation into other people's things is a social lubricant that allows you to have friends and lovers and so forth. And maybe this is why I have difficulty with this, because I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to assimilate into your thing that I don't like. But people that do that seem to generally get along better in life, I think, when it comes to social endeavors. Seem to be well liked. So I don't know. Like, it'd be a lot easier to assimilate into like sports culture. I'd be a lot better liked if I just assimilated into liking sports in the way that most people that I interact with like sports. But I just don't, because I just like, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard because being an MMA fan, there's not a lot. There's people that casually watch it.
Sure.
I wouldn't say that I'm like the most hardcore of a fan, but I'm a big fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really talk about to most people.
Right, but that's just having an interest that's niche. Like, you don't seem to have...
same thing with like football. You watch football? What team are you into? It's like, I don't watch football.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh. We get like really sad. They want to start talking shit.
I don't want to talk about sports with pretty much anybody.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'll talk combat sports with you, and like, that seems fine. Like, I can be interested in MMA in the way that I'm interested in the fact
casually
that you're interested in MMA, because it's something that you're interested in and knowledgeable about. And as it turns out, I'm curious about people that have greater knowledge about things than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like our friendship is predicated on the fact that I become an MMA fan any more than you become a hockey fan.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we can talk about it, and it's not like I have an aversion.
Well, we have an interest in hockey. I just don't watch hockey as often as you do.
I hardly ever watch hockey. I follow hockey.
Yeah, you probably watch it more than I do.
Speaking of which, Alex Ovechkin got his 28th career hat trick the other day.
It's not that many.
It is that many. Oh, it's not that many if you compare him to Wayne Gretzky.
That's what I'm saying. He's not the great one.
But everybody that has that many hat tricks is in the Hall of Fame. 28th. 28 of active NHL players. You know who has the second most and how many they have? They have 14. He has double what any other active NHL player has. Yeah, I mean, he's not catching Gretzky. Fucking nobody. Gretzky got to 20 hat tricks in 2 seasons. He had back-to-back 10 hat trick seasons in 83 and 84. Fucking 20
I guess
hat
that's
tricks.
why they call him the great one.
Yeah, he's got 50 career hat tricks. Lemieux is second with 40. Although Lemieux played like 1,000 fewer games than Gretzky did, so that's probably not a compare.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mario Lemieux only played like
because he got that pesky cancer in him,
and then he had a back injury.
Yeah.
So Lemieux didn't even play 1,000 games in the NHL. He played like 980, I want to say 86 games in the NHL. Crosby's already played like several hundred more games than Lemieux has, which is weird.
That just makes Lemieux that more impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at where Lemieux stands on the all-time.
Well,
stats.
the league was kind of soft back then, and just anybody could just fucking do whatever they wanted.
Lemieux is still like in the top 10 all-time in points.
The league got soft. The league was soft back then.
Yeah. Lemieux has like 1,800 points, and you look at everybody else, like he's like in the top 10 or 15, like all-time in points, and you look at everybody else, how many games they have, and it's like 1,300, 1,400, 1,500, 1,800 games, and it's like fucking Lemieux's like 900.
Guys, just try harder. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
I don't know why you have to stick around for so long.
Yeah.
Dummies.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like an individual talent, like an unstoppable individual force on the ice, like I don't think anybody is even close to the level of Lemieux, but he just didn't play very long. Like he's just because he's much bigger and stronger than Gretzky.
Yeah, he's a giant.
Yeah. So it's like,
it's the greatest impact on the greatest impact you have on the field or ice at the time. Kind of dictates your kind of greatness. Same thing with like Jordan. He didn't, I think LeBron has more. I actually don't know. I shouldn't say that. But compared to the most Hall of Famers, he didn't play as long.
Yeah.
But he has the most impact.
Right. And as far as like points go, that's not the measure of.
No.
In basketball, it's like Kareem and fucking Karl Malone and like a bunch of guys have more points all time than Jordan did.
But they're not that impactful.
Yeah.
Having back-to-back championships, being MVP in almost every finals you've been in.
Yeah.
Says a lot.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Gretzky. Gretzky just made everybody on the ice better. And if the measure is how much better you are than your peers, it's like, well, then he just wins that game. He won the MVP of the league 9 consecutive years. Like nobody else is even close.
All right, here you go.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I just win all the time. It's
number 8 is like, okay, just fucking give it to him.
Yeah. But yeah, like so Ovechkin is more analogous to Lemieux, right? Like Ovechkin is just fucking unstoppable when he's on the ice. Like you cannot fucking contain him. But like unlike Crosby, like Crosby can win a game by just being on the ice because he makes everybody on the ice better. And so he makes the whole team better. And so the team going better, like he can win a game on his own by his presence. And Ovechkin's not really that way. He's just like unstoppable. Like he's just like a fucking bulldozer when he's on the ice.
It's probably like LeBron.
Yeah. And so, but it's exciting because he's climbing the all-time goals list and just broke out of, I think, 5th or 6th for all-time hat tricks. So it's like, but yeah, everybody that has that many hat tricks is in the Hall of Fame. And so that's impressive, especially because he's 36. And I would have thought this was the year he's going to start to languish. Like, I'm like, well, okay.
Get a really big boy contract and just ride it out.
Yeah. But,
like most like baseball players do.
But yeah, and that's all he has left is the goal hunt, right? He's got a championship, got a league MVP. He's got
that thing was hanging over his head for a lot of seasons.
Yeah, it's like
so what? He doesn't have a cup,
right? He doesn't have a cup, but consideration for the Hall of Fame.
Brett Hall,
yeah. Well, Brett Hall has a cup.
I forgot. Yeah, it does.
99, the contentious did he kick it in? He was that goal,
Yeah.
like that contentious foot in the crease
Just fucking
goal.
give it to him.
Yeah. But
was it Chelios that didn't get a cup? Who's one of the greats that didn't get the cup?
I think Chelios got one with the Red Wings later in his career.
Huh.
2002.
Who's the guy that I'm trying to think of that didn't win one?
Like a really notable player, like in our lifetime, I assume. I can't really think. Matt Sundin never won a cup. And the Sedin twins in Vancouver, they never won a cup.
Good.
Good. Yeah.
Good.
I kind of feel the same way. But I suspect you're just being flippant.
No, fuck those guys.
Okay.
I'm glad.
Pavel Bure never won a cup, but he's in the Hall of Fame though.
Yeah.
So he went to a cup, but he lost. So you can make the Hall of Fame without a cup, but it's just,
yeah. It's, it helps.
It definitely, if you
it helps your legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? Does he have a cup? How many cups did you win?
Yeah. Well, especially when you compare him to the closest contemporary you have to compare him to is Crosby. And Crosby has everything.
Yeah.
Crosby's got 2 gold medals, a World Cup MVP.
Lady Byng twice.
I don't know. He might have won a Lady Byng actually, but he's got 3 Stanley Cups. He's got 2 Conn Smythes. He's got 4 Art Ross trophies. He's got 2 Rocket trophies. He's just got everything.
Yeah, he can just retire now and first ballot.
Yeah.
For sure.
He probably could have retired 3 or 4 years ago and probably still been first ballot. It's like so yeah, but that's that's exciting, I guess. But anyway, what were we talking about before I derailed us with Ovechkin talk, MMA and sports talk, and being the odd man out? Yeah, that's kind of makes it more difficult. It's not just like you're interested in something that most people aren't interested in. It's like if you're actively like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you about sports. Like, just leave me alone. That's my attitude about things. What do you think the Niners?
Oh, you like 9 Inch Nails? Oh, not anymore.
I meant to ask you because I started playing chess again. Like, are you still playing chess?
No, I fell off for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, the Lee chess. I was like, fucking asshole, just fucking give me this.
Oh, like trying to get over that certain rating?
Yeah, I tried to get over
1300, I would guess.
Yeah, 1300.
Yeah, I was gonna say if the 1300 is a big hump. To get from 13 to 14 is a big hump.
Yeah, and the problem is that I think I was spreading myself thin with a lot of the openings and kind of trying to understand the game a lot. So it kind of suffered when I was if I was playing black, I was like, how am I supposed to play this now? I don't know what to do. Yeah, and it became too overwhelming. I think I might dip back into it again.
Because black, your whole goal is to try to snatch what they call initiative.
Yeah,
like you snatch initiative.
Get tempo.
Yeah,
tempo.
You can snatch initiative from the player. Otherwise, you have to be a very patient, defensive player, and then punctuate that with big strike moves that give you better position on the board. And if your opponent is good, then that's very difficult. That's why getting that 1400 rating is probably the hardest rating to get. I would say getting over 1600 is probably equally hard. Like getting to a fucking 1600 rating is super fucking difficult. It's like you're going from 16 to over 1600, because 16 I would say is probably the benchmark for what I would consider a good player.
Yeah, I'm just kind of amazed a lot of people that get 2000 playing, blitz.
Yeah,
getting that good.
Could never fucking do that.
Yeah.
I've played games where
it seems like you have to be pretty sharp. You just have snap decisions doing all this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure in the longer classical game you probably make a lot of mistakes just because of the tempo you're not used to, but
yeah, I bet you if I played blitz, my rating would dip to 1500 maybe. But
it is interesting that a lot of grandmasters are still pretty competitive with people that just play blitz.
Well, because once you get to a certain
those guys are you see Hikaru play. He plays constantly. He Twitch streams all the time, and then he just right before the person's even making a move, he's calculating 5 moves already.
Well, I think part of it is too I mean, I've tried to play blitz a few times, but it was back before you have to sharpen because generally the way it goes is just like a time. So what you're trying to do is just move as fast as you can in the beginning. Like just fraction, like a second, like a fraction of a second per move in the beginning to like give yourself time in mid game to like think things out a little bit more. And so maybe I would fare a little bit better now that my like opening is stronger and I kind of know what I'm gonna do, because usually I could plan out like opening. It's like my first 10 moves are kind of.
Oh, how's you playing with Patrick still?
No, he seems to stop wanting to play with me. I poked at him a while ago. I was like, hey man, let's play some chess, you know?
It's too easy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it, but he's pretty fucking good though.
I just learned yesterday.
Yeah, I started playing since the pandemic. They're pretty good now.
What?
Well, I don't know, like it's different too. Like it's the same thing that happened to me. Like my game since like playing on Lichess, I bet you I went from being like when I first started playing on Lichess, maybe like a mid 1600 player, and I'm probably like upper 1800s now. I have some games where it's like if you assessed it based on the computer analysis, is probably like mid to upper 1900s. I wouldn't say that's the norm, but like I probably average somewhere between upper 1700s and mid 1800s. And that progress, that 200 points or 180 points or whatever it is all come like since I started playing on Lichess. And so that tool is like a much quicker feedback. Whereas before it was like I was just playing with people in cafes and everything. And then I didn't play for like, almost 10 years. So you could say I've been playing chess for nearly 20 years, but that wouldn't be an accurate assessment of. It'd be like if you played guitar for like a year and then put it down for like a decade and then picked it back up, you wouldn't have the.
Oh, you would never say, I was like, I've been playing for decades. Like,
right. Yeah. So you have a feedback tool that helps you kind of improve incrementally. You probably can shoot up pretty quick. And when you're someone like Patrick, who has a fairly high IQ and you learn pretty quickly, you can go from like even just probably playing his very first game of chess, he probably was like a 1200 just based on raw IQ. Like and then after 10 or 15 games, he was probably a 14 or 1500. And then after like, 50 or 60 games, it's like, oh, he's like about where I am. It's like, because you just amble along. It's like if you played in tournaments with pool, you get quicker, you get better a lot quicker because you'd have to get better or you wouldn't do well. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, I've been playing a little bit more lately and knocking the rust off a little bit, but doing okay. But I guess it's kind of difficult to tell. It depends on who you play. That's why I wanted to play Patrick, but so, whatever. I want to.
Well, running up on time.
That was a quick one.
Yeah,
felt quick.
Been shorter lately, but
short and sweet. Like a plate of gabagool.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's see. Future of the podcast. I'd say I want to do a little bit more with fan stuff. Hopefully you guys would interact with us, you fucks.
Nah.
No.
Fans are people that like the show. There aren't any of those.
Yeah.
They're just people that listen to the show out of pity.
There's tens of them.
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll talk about it off podcast, but yeah, hopefully some interesting things will be in the works. Yeah, that's about it. Got anything else to say?
Yeah, if I did, it's lost in the muddy swamp that is my brain at this juncture, so I'll just say
okay. Nice. Don't be a fool. Wash your hands before you eat the gabagool. Peace.
We gotta get a shot with the suits standing up.
Thanks for listening to Mikey and the Press Pass podcast. Consider subscribing. You can rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, and pretty much anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. And you can also write us with any ideas, suggestions, or horrible burning criticism at mikeyandthepresspass@gmail.com. Thank you.